History is often presented as a steady climb of human knowledge. Stone tools become bronze. Bronze becomes iron. Simple observation becomes mathematics and eventually machines. The narrative feels orderly, almost inevitable. According to this familiar timeline, complex mechanical computation belongs to the modern age. Precision gears, predictive calculation, and astronomical modeling are achievements associated with the scientific revolution and the centuries that followed. But occasionally, the past produces something that does not quite fit inside that sequence. More than 2,000 years ago, somewhere in the ancient Mediterranean world, a device was constructed that appears to calculate the motions of the heavens using interlocking bronze gears. Predicted eclipses. It tracked planetary cycles. It modeled the passage of time through rotating mechanical systems. And this is where the contradiction begins. Because machines capable of this level of complexity were not expected to exist in the ancient world. The unsettling question is not simply how it works. It is why something like it existed at all. What if the story of ancient technology is far less simple than the timeline suggests? To understand the significance of this object, it is necessary to step into the intellectual world of the ancient Greeks. By the 3rd and 2nd centuries BCE, Greek scholars had already built a tradition of mathematical astronomy that attempted to describe the movements of the sun, moon, and planets with remarkable precision. Philosophers and mathematicians such as Hipparchus were developing geometric models to explain celestial cycles, and the idea that the heavens followed predictable patterns had become central to Greek scientific thought. Yet most of these ideas existed on parchment and in theoretical diagrams. Ancient instruments certainly existed. The astrolabe, for example, allowed observers to measure the positions of stars. Sundials tracked the hours of daylight. Armillary spheres demonstrated the structure of the cosmos through rings representing celestial circles. But these tools were primarily observational or demonstrative. The idea of a compact machine capable of mechanically predicting astronomical events belonged to a much later technological era. Or so it seemed, because hidden beneath centuries of seawater and corrosion lay a device that appeared to perform precisely that task. But the discovery of this object did not happen in a laboratory or archive. It began at the bottom of the sea. In the spring of 1901, a group of sponge divers working near a small Greek island made an unexpected discovery. The island was Antikythera, located between Crete and the Peloponnese, along a route that ancient ships had traveled for centuries. The divers had descended into waters roughly 50 meters deep when they encountered the remains of a Roman-era shipwreck scattered across the seabed. Bronze statues lay among fragments of pottery and marble sculptures. The cargo appeared to be part of a large shipment of luxury goods transported sometime in the 1st century BCE. When the divers returned to the surface with their discoveries, archaeologists quickly realized the site contained one of the most significant underwater finds of the early 20th century. Over the following months, the wreck was carefully explored and its contents raised from the seabed. Among the artifacts was an unremarkable lump of corroded bronze and wood. At first glance, it appeared to be nothing more than debris. The object had fractured into several pieces. The wood had decayed. The bronze surfaces were heavily encrusted with mineral deposits from centuries under seawater. There was no immediate reason to believe the object was anything extraordinary. But as the fragments dried and cracked in museum storage, something unexpected began to appear. Inside the corrosion were gears, and this is where the mystery truly began. Careful examination revealed that the fragments contained dozens of precisely cut bronze gear wheels. Their teeth were triangular and evenly spaced, suggesting deliberate mechanical design rather than decorative pattern. Even more remarkable was the density of the mechanism. Within what had once been a wooden case roughly the size of a shoebox were at least 30 interlocking gears. These gears were arranged in layers, connected through axles and rotating components that clearly formed a coordinated system. This was not a decorative object. It was a machine. But here is the unsettling part. The level of mechanical sophistication displayed by the device was completely unexpected for its time. The gears were designed with mathematical ratios that corresponded to known astronomical cycles. The spacing of the teeth suggested calculations intended to track the movements of celestial bodies over long periods of time. History does not break easily, but here it bends. For decades, the mechanism remained poorly understood. The corrosion made it difficult to see how the components connected. Early researchers recognized that it was an ancient mechanical device, but its exact purpose remained uncertain. The turning point came in the mid-20th century, when X-ray imaging techniques were applied to the fragments. For the first time, scientists could see inside the corroded bronze without dismantling the delicate remains. What they found transformed the interpretation of the device. Hidden within the fragments were intricate gear trains linked to rotating dials. Inscribed markings surrounded these dials, written in ancient Greek characters. As researchers slowly deciphered the inscriptions, the function of the machine began to emerge. The mechanism appeared to simulate astronomical cycles. One dial tracked the phases of the moon. Another followed a 19-year cycle known as the Metonic cycle, used by Greek astronomers to synchronize lunar months with the solar year. Another dial represented the Saros cycle, a pattern used to predict eclipses. When the device's handle was turned, the gears rotated together, advancing the positions of the dials. In effect, the mechanism calculated the movements of the heavens, not through abstract mathematics alone, but through mechanical motion. The front of the device likely displayed a circular dial representing the zodiac and the calendar year. Pointers attached to internal gears indicated the positions of the sun and moon against this backdrop. A small rotating sphere may even have represented the changing phases of the moon. On the back of the mechanism were two spiral dials. One of these spirals corresponded to the Metonic cycle, spanning 235 lunar months. The other represented the Saros cycle of 223 months used to forecast eclipses. By turning the crank and aligning the calendar with a specific date, the user could see when eclipses would occur and how the lunar phases would appear. The machine effectively translated astronomical theory into mechanical prediction. This is not myth. This is bronze. Modern reconstructions of the mechanism suggest that the original device contained more than 30 gears, possibly closer to 40. Some gears were extremely small, requiring precision metalworking techniques that historians once believed did not appear until much later. The craftsmanship indicates a high level of technical skill. Yet the device does not appear to have been unique in concept. Ancient texts hint that similar instruments may once have existed. Roman writers such as Cicero described mechanical devices constructed by Greek engineers that could reproduce the movements of celestial bodies. Cicero even wrote about a machine built by the mathematician Archimedes that demonstrated the motions of the sun, moon, and planets. For centuries, historians assumed these descriptions were exaggerated or misunderstood. But the Antikythera Mechanism suggests otherwise. The mainstream interpretation today is that the device was created by skilled Greek engineers sometime between 150 and 100 BCE. Many researchers believe it may have originated in the intellectual environment of the island of Rhodes, where astronomical study flourished during this period. Scholars associated with Rhodes were known for developing complex models of planetary motion. The mathematician Hipparchus, who worked in the 2nd century BCE, created detailed calculations describing the moon's irregular orbit. Some of the gear ratios inside the mechanism appear consistent with those calculations. If this connection is correct, the device may represent the physical embodiment of Greek astronomical theory, a machine that turned mathematics into motion. But even with these explanations, questions remain. No other device of comparable complexity from the ancient world has survived. The Antikythera Mechanism stands alone in the archaeological record. The precision gearwork it contains would not appear again in known technology for more than 1,000 years. Why? Was this device an experimental prototype created by a single workshop? Was it part of a tradition of mechanical craftsmanship that simply failed to survive in the archaeological record? Or did similar machines once exist but were lost through time, melted down for metal, or destroyed by centuries of conflict? Ancient artifacts rarely survive intact. Bronze was often recycled. Wooden casings decay. Mechanisms are dismantled. What we see today may only be a fragment of a much larger technological tradition. And this is where the deeper question emerges. The Antikythera Mechanism does not overturn the achievements of later scientific eras. It does not suggest that ancient engineers possessed modern technology. But it reveals something equally important. The ancient world was capable of far greater mechanical sophistication than we once believed. History does not move in perfectly smooth lines. Knowledge appears, disappears, and sometimes reappears centuries later. In this sense, the mechanism is not simply an artifact. It is a reminder of how fragile technological progress can be. Today, the fragments of the device rest in the National Archaeological Museum in Athens, their bronze surfaces still marked by the centuries they spent beneath the sea. Researchers continue to scan the fragments with advanced imaging technology, uncovering new inscriptions and hidden details within the gears. Each discovery adds another layer to the story, yet the central mystery remains quietly intact. Somewhere in the ancient Mediterranean world, more than 2,000 years ago, someone conceived of a machine that could model the heavens through interlocking gears. They built it, they used it, and then, for centuries, the knowledge of such machines seems to have vanished. History does not break easily, but sometimes, in the silence of the past, it bends just enough to remind us how much we still do not know. Do you like this personality?